Hey, welcome to the Infinity Bros podcast. I'm your host, Max Mosier. Today we talk about the E3 video game conference that's coming up the second week of June. What do we want to see? What do we think will happen? We'll touch on the Avengers game specifically. You're not going to want to miss that. We then get into what's hot, what's snot. We talk about Swamp Thing. We talk about Good Omens. And then we talk about James Holzhauer's run in Jeopardy. We top it all off with our top 5 movie trailers of all time. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the Infinity Bros podcast. Hey, welcome to the Infinity Bros podcast, the only podcast that is perfectly balanced, as all things should be. I'm your host, Max Mosier. Today we have 3 other Infinity Bros here today. We've got my good friend, Isaac Edlund.
Sup?
All the way from out west, we've got Jarret.
Hello, friends.
And then finally, he just snuck on, just in time to meet with us, Robbie Sauter.
Hey, everyone.
Robbie, you barely made it in time to be on our recording today.
Did you guys have a cutoff?
I don't know if we had a full cutoff, but I would say that we were getting ready to start changing your name to Zane.
Ooh, that's actually kind of hurtful. My pride just took a punch in the face.
I think my hope with telling you that is that we can course correct your behavior for the future. Because we just have a show to do, and you can't be late. You know what I mean? You feel me on that? And we don't want you to be Zane. We already have Zane.
You know what? I'll send you the email to my head football coach, and you can talk with him, and let him know that he has to get through these meetings much faster.
That'd be great. Let's make sure he gets Mark Jones' email, and we'll have those communications be really
Perfect.
Strong. I know we'll get him taken care of. Hey, welcome to the Infinity Bros podcast. Whether you're listening to us for the first time or the 8th time, this is episode 8. We're so glad you're here. We are a pop culture show dedicated to talking about movies, video games, TV, all the things that are going on in pop culture and what's relevant to us. So we hope you stay with us. We hope you subscribe to us. And we hope that you rate us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Music. These are some of the platforms we use. We actually are on Podbean as well. And we have some listener feedback to go through this week. And we've had a couple different comments, Isaac. It's been kind of fun.
Yeah, it's been a pretty good week as far as social media goes for us. So,
because you manage our social media, we pulled out all the stops, the Infinity Bros. Everybody has little jobs. Zane is late all the time. Mark says inappropriate things, and you do social media, and that's just a really strong job for you.
Well, thank you. Appreciate
You're
that.
welcome. So we've got some listener feedback to read. Isaac, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go? And then we'll just react after that? Or do we want to start with the iTunes? What do we want to start with here?
Why don't I go? I got it pulled up already, so I might as well go ahead and start with the Facebook reviews that we've gotten this week. We've had a historic week in the Infinity Bros Facebook page. We had over 180 likes on Facebook due to all of us finding the invite button on our page. So we had a lot of friends. Thank you all out there who followed the Infinity Bros Facebook page. And we have a couple new reviews that I'm going to just read and shout out. So the first one is from Yeadon Paul, who has been a rock star over the past week, listened to all of our episodes and has been shouting us out on everything. And he says, "This is the best pop culture, comic book, geek-centric podcast to listen to, especially if you have a lot of kids listening in the background. The conversations are interesting, engaging, clean, and honest. Great job on the new podcast." So thank you, Eden, for that awesome review. The next one is from Luke Edlund, some scrub who has a really strange profile picture of him and his wife. But he says 6 out of 6 Infinity Stone ranking. So we know that he actually has, in fact, listened to at least one Infinity Bro podcast. So that's a plus. So thank you, Luke, for that podcast.
Jarret, what do you think about these reviews so far as they come in boiling lava hot?
It is absolute pleasure to serve you guys. I'm glad you chose me as your de facto leader, and I just hope that you continue to check us out on Facebook and listen to our podcast.
We all have jobs, and Jarret apparently is our leader, which actually makes James, his son, the leader of the Infinity Bros.
Correct.
Because James is the leader of Jarret.
Yes.
So,
do we all have jobs, though? Can we confirm that we all have jobs?
oh no, not absolutely not.
Do I just take bad takes? Is that my thing
that's
now?
Robbie's job. The bad.
I was
take
going to
guy.
I'd be
say,
the bad
have
take
we
guy.
read a single review where it's been like, I really like Robbie's takes? I have yet to hear one of those.
No, absolutely not.
True. Yeah. I mean,
most of the reviews are just ragging on Max anyway.
well, that's probably true.
Some of them are. We can get into those.
There's like 3 of them that are like, I love Mark, and I don't like Max that
Yeah,
much,
Mark
but
is
he's
all
growing
right.
on me.
Yeah, why does Mark...
Mark is the fan favorite.
That doesn't make any sense.
That really doesn't.
Oh, yes, it does. I think it does.
Well,
He's my favorite.
we know him as a person, and it doesn't make any sense. All right. Well, let's go through
Well,
the 3. We have 3
I have
iTunes
one
reviews,
more.
too. Oh, you have one
that
more.
I'm
I'm sorry. Go
I
ahead.
have one more. And that's actually is directed towards Jarret. This is from Roxanne Smith. She says, Jarret is pretty cool. He speaks Dakota Typee.
Dakota
Typee?
Dakota Yapi.
Dakota Yapi. That's the
It's-
language that is out there, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's the Dakota word for the Dakota language.
Uh-huh. There you go. So
Look at that. You learned something.
kudos, Jarret, for speaking Dakota Yapi. Did I say it right?
Sure, you're trying.
Okay.
That's
sure,
what counts.
Sure. Yeah.
So basically, we're just going to... I'm hearing a demand for our show to be translated into this language, Jarret. Are you going to be putting in the hours to make that happen?
Listen, I'm not there yet. Someday, maybe. We'll have James do
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, maybe we can have somebody from out there come in and speak on behalf of it. That'd be really cool.
Yep.
We've got
thank
some
you,
iTunes.
Roxanne Smith for that review.
Yeah, it's really nice to it's nice to affirm Jarret. That doesn't happen that often, so we're really glad it happened here and on this term. Okay, so we've got a couple of iTunes reviews. You can rate out of 5 stars. Don't you wish we could change it to 6 stars?
I would love that.
That would be great.
It'd be sweet.
One day we'll have that power.
What other powers will we have, real quick, Robbie? What other powers will we obtain when we get that power? Because that's not the only one, right?
I mean, getting Eden Paul on the show will be a power.
We love that guy.
And we'll all actually be able to grow his hair, which I have dubbed the Vegeta hair,
Do you think
and it's going to be great.
Do you think we'll also have the ability to like post a video,
Grow out our fingernails?
post,
Yes.
yeah, post a video, and then have somebody comment some obscure pop culture thing, and then it gets like 2,000 likes on that comment, but not 2,000 likes on our video?
Yes.
That's the end game
Yeah,
here.
that's really what we're shooting
That's
for.
the only reason I'm here.
Yeah, that's what. That's success.
Right.
That's under our vision statement.
To be the stepping
Controversy
stone for somebody
equals
else's
success.
success. That's what we're
Yes,
aiming for.
absolutely.
To break up when one of us meets a Yoko Ono, and really at that point talk about it the rest of our lives about what could have been.
Right. James
That's
willing
a
will
good
get
idea.
there.
Yeah, you're right. We got a couple more iTunes reviews. This one is the weirdest one. So I'm going to start with this. This is from PQPDKGBKSWPL. The title is Soothing, and the comment reads, Their voices make me happy. Isaac, I think we need to go into witness protection.
Yeah, that's a little creepy. I don't know.
I don't like that one that bit. Any other comments on that, guys? Or should we just awkwardly move
My
on?
my voice has never made anyone happy, so that's
I
impossible.
just think it's really sweet that Zane would review
Ew.
us like that. That's so
Do you
nice of him.
think Zane just hit the keyboard as much as he could to get those letters together, and he just felt so proud of
Yes.
himself?
Yeah.
That's probably what happened. That's a good point. We got another one we've got from the Lion space Queen 13. Queen 13 was all one word. Interesting takes, love the show, and I can't wait to hear the discussion on Lion King. Would like to hear a woman's take on some topics. I give this show a 6 out of 6 if you ask me, parentheses, even though there were only 5 stars available. Well, at least somebody gets the bit. But Isaac, this is a contradictory or potential contradictory statement to Infinity Bros. Is Infinity Bros including of women?
Obviously, we are including of women.
Very good.
But they don't make up the core of the Infinity Bros, but it would be awesome. This reviewer is absolutely correct. We need to get a female voice on here pronto. So that, you know what, female listeners, if you want to be on the show, go ahead and email Max at the Infinity Bros podcast at gmail.com. We could love to hear your feedback. We would love to see what you think about the show.
I also wonder if they're really listening to the show because we had Zane on last week.
Yeah, that's a lady killer
Oof.
for sure.
Burn.
Oof.
Oh, got him. Called him a woman.
Burn.
Got him!
Here to defend himself. Last one is, and I can't make this one up, and I wish I could, but I can't. Actually, we have 2 more. I apologize. It says, Max is my dad, 11. Best podcast. Keep up the good work. Talk about Godzilla, King of Monsters, top Fortnite conspiracies, and your top 10 Fortnite moments in history. Couple things wrong with this podcast. 1, I don't think my 6-month-old son is capable of writing this, unless he's a superhuman and I'm unaware.
Because he's studying for his master's right now and he doesn't have the time.
Great point. Didn't think about that.
Right, he's busy.
Yeah,
He gave
it's
us
a
5
time
stars,
thing
though.
for sure. Yeah.
It's a time thing. Yeah, that's always the problem with these reviews. Is some of these just they're not complimentary of time. Jarret,
it's the
is
same
your son
with
James?
James.
How old is James, Jarret?
James is 2.5.
So, yeah, he's pretty close to solving world hunger at this point.
He solved it, but he just doesn't know if we're ready for it yet. We have to earn it, is what he said.
Great point. Great point. The final one comes from we're gonna finish where we started, to Yeadon Paul, because we just love all the pub he's been giving us this week. Finally, a safe pop culture podcast. He says kind of the same thing, Isaac. Great to listen to when you have 6 kids, a newborn to 13 years of age, listening in the background. The hosts are all enthusiastic
Busy guy.
about geekdoms and well diverse in their opinions. I love the camaraderie from the hosts as well. Signed off by Yeadon Paul. So just Yeadon Paul, we want to give you a shout out too, because everybody else makes up weird names, but you're actually authentic with your names. And thanks for not claiming to be my son. I really appreciate that. That would be really, really kind of strange. Robbie, do you think there will ever come a review, and maybe this is your time to make your case for, hey, give me a review where you tell me I'm doing a good job?
Was that a question?
Yes.
I'm confused.
Is this your
on that.
time?
I don't-
Is the
I don't-
world
I
ready
don't
to
care.
review
You can-
you positively?
No, that's fine. If I can have my bad takes and no one can agree with me, but someday a DC fan that agrees with me is going to jump on, and we're gonna be best friends. Probably move to Costa Rica. I only need one.
Okay. All right. Any other comments before we move on?
Until then, Robbie is the hero that we deserve, but not the one we need right now.
Right. One person said I have bad takes, and now it's my thing. That's just how this works.
What movie is that from? Moving on. All right.
I couldn't tell you. No idea.
Moving on. Hey, it's been a big week, and it's going to be a big week for video games. About a week. It's about less than a week now. E3 is coming next week, and we wanted to talk about that. Kind of talk about some news that came out, talk about some games we've been playing. We haven't really had a chance to talk about video games. It's been a really busy summer with movies and TV and all that stuff, so wanted to dedicate some time to that. Guys, so before we kind of get started, E3 is coming out soon. I wanted to hear, what are you looking forward to from E3, and what is an expectation you're looking to get fulfilled going into next weekend?
I am actually really excited about this. I'm my biggest hope is that we get any news on Fable. There was rumblings about a year ago when they had shut down the whole production on the people who were making Fable. I believe is it NetherRealms that made Fable? I couldn't tell you right now. But they got shut down. Microsoft has shut them down completely. But then there was talk that they were going to come back and they were going to make another Fable game. And I, along with the Fallout games, the Fable games are my favorite games ever. So that's my big hope.
The developers were Lionhead Studios.
That's right. That's
Isaac, what about you?
So there's 2 games that I'm really looking forward to getting at least some type of announcements or some type of something, news or anything. I know both of these games are pretty far away in development, but the first one is Square Enix's Marvel's Avengers, and that title was actually just announced like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, Mao.
Wasn't it just Wednesday?
It was not long ago, and like this is a game that has been rumored and potentially in production for the last like 3 years or something. Like everybody's been waiting for this game to come out, and they dropped a little logo for Marvel's Avengers, and it looks sweet already. I'm really hoping we can get some kind of news from it, because really we haven't had anything. At least we know now that there for sure is, production being made on it, and it's, set to come out at some point, and hopefully that's within the next couple of years. But I would love to hear some news, even like not even a full trailer, but maybe just some clips, like gameplay clips or something. Literally anything on it, I would love to hear. Because this is like one game that I will probably pre-order. I don't pre-order many games at all. I pre-ordered Spider-Man for the PS4. I think that might be the only game I've ever pre-ordered. But this is another one that I probably will pre-order. The second game is actually one that has a trailer out already. It is Respawn's Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which the trailer looked fantastic. I'm super pumped about it. There hasn't been a really awesome Star Wars RPG for a while. The Force Unleashed was all right. It wasn't bad, but I think what everybody wants is an RPG that they can kind of, customize a little bit more, maybe, like the old Knights of the Old Republic games. I don't know.
Yep, that's what we want.
Yeah, that's what we want. And this trailer made it seem more like a storyline driven type game, so maybe we won't get that. But anyways, regardless, it looks sweet. So I'm excited for any more news on that as well.
Jarret, what about you, buddy?
I would say that I'm most excited for Elder Scrolls 6. Bethesda, as we know, is a powerhouse of a studio. They had a kind of golden year with Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, and then Skyrim. And I think since then, the releases that they've had have been pretty lackluster. ESO was okay. Fallout 76, as we know, was an absolute flop. Even Fallout 4, I know people play it, I know people love it, but it didn't really hit the mark for me. So I think they really can show their stuff again with 6, Elder Scrolls 6. I think they have an opportunity here to really flex their muscle, and it sounds like they've been delaying it and spending more time working on it, so I'm hoping that's a good thing. I'm willing. You guys talked about this last episode, how I believe it was Westworld does this, where they delay production so that it meets their quality standards. And I think this is what the video game industry needs to do, so that they don't have things like the debacle with Apex, where at launch it wasn't really what people thought it was going to be, and the follow-up wasn't really there. If you take your time with this, I think Elder Scrolls is going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see if Elder Scrolls can pull that out that way. I agree with you, Jarret. That's going to be really interesting. Well, hey, real quick, before we kind of dive into some news I've been reading that I'll share with you guys and get your reactions, we want to make sure that you're familiar with our rating system here on the Infinity Bros. So we're going to put the rating system bumper right here.
Here on the Infinity Bros podcast, everything is ranked from a 0 to 6 point scale. 0 meaning horrible, and 6 meaning absolutely excellent. If all of the Infinity Bros rank something a 6, it gets an Infinity Snap.
All right. So we've got some Avengers news, Isaac. You alluded to it, but I wanted to make sure that I let you kind of say your piece before I gave details that came out last week. So do you guys want the EA news first or the Avengers news first?
Let's go Avengers.
Avengers.
It was a Universal Avengers. Here we go. So this comes from comicbookmovie.com. This was published. I want to make sure I get the day right. So that would be June 2nd. That should be today, actually. Yeah. So, and it says this. It says it's confirmed this past week. Marvel's Avengers, formerly referred to as the Avengers Project, will finally be properly revealed at E3. It'll be revealed during Square Enix's E3 live broadcast with a specific panel at the E3 Coliseum main stage, which promises more information about the highly anticipated game. It's being said that you'll be able to have creative teams, so you'll be able to play by yourself or play with others. You'll be able to creatively enhance or mess with your specific character and heroes that you have, while also, if you want to, and Reddit has a screenshot as well that we can share on our show notes below as you're listening to this that you can look at too. But it's supposed to be a cinematic style of storytelling that you can play by yourself or with a lot of people. So Isaac, I think, and you weren't on last show, but you and I obviously love Marvel Ultimate Alliance. probably that same kind of vibe, I'm imagining, while also maximizing kind of the demand that has been out there recently for these Avengers movies that have come out, specifically Endgame, that is only $60 million away from breaking the record from Avatar as of June 2nd. So, guys, what do you think about this customizable hero while also being able to play by yourself in co-op? Isaac, let's start with you.
I'm excited for this game for many reasons. One, I'm hoping that they are able to tie in Marvel's Spider-Man to this kind of new gamerverse that they're forming. I think that would be just epic if they're able to do that. I know they're two different studios, probably won't have the same exact character, but it would just be so cool to see them start building like a new type of universe through video games. And I feel like that's what Marvel has really been missing. Like, yeah, we have the Ultimate Alliance games, we have the Capcom versus Marvel games, but I feel like DC really has done a better job at giving us quality video games. So I really am hoping this game is incredible and can be a launch point to more Marvel games, like quality Marvel games. Two, I would like to see more of an open world concept type of game. Like, I love the Ultimate Alliance games, but when you're playing multiplayer, it's just restrictive. You're both in the same room, same screen. It is fun to play multiplayer still, but it's not the ideal multiplayer setup. So I'm hoping there's a little bit more, maybe third-person view, a little bit more just vast open world concepts. And I think that might be kind of the big things that I wanted to touch on. But this is a game that has so much potential, and I'm just like super pumped for what's coming for it. So like I said earlier, I'm really hoping we get some like clips or gameplay, something or other from it, so I can keep geeking out about it.
It is to be said that there will be a teaser they will be showing. I'm assuming there will be some gameplay too. Robbie, what do you think, buddy?
I think just what Isaac said, the potential is the biggest thing. I hope that they take their time, and obviously from what we know, they have taken their time. And then giving a game that you can play the story, but then also have, downloadable content so you can keep the story going. Because Marvel's tried. There's these little figurines you can buy that are out in like Walmart and everything. They tried to make this like cool new game thing, failed completely. The thing's already dead. So like they've tried to do these Marvel games, but they haven't done anything this big. And I think this is what we've been waiting for. And yeah, it goes off DC's kind of owned extra areas, so they've like kind of owned the video games. I mean, they haven't given us anything since Batman, and we got Spider-Man last year, and it was amazing. But we haven't had a team up game. And yeah, what Isaac was saying, I want the open worldness to it. If they can do that and deliver it beautifully, that'd be awesome. The thing with E3, and that's is just because it's E3, they're gonna show you a trailer that's gonna look better than the game will ever look. So you have to always like curb your expectations a little bit. We'll see. It would be really interesting if they show gameplay. I would be really surprised if they show gameplay. I think it's going to be one of those cinematic trailers, which is kind of like the gameplay, but I don't think we're going to get actual gameplay footage just yet.
It's interesting that you say that because I'm a big Kingdom Hearts fan. They were showing footage from that game 3-4 years ago, and this game's been in development a long time. I would be shocked if they didn't have that. Jarret, what do you think about that?
Specifically for the gameplay, I think we probably will see it. Again, they kind of fluff it up a little more than usual for E3 and try to make it look prettier than it actually will be at launch. We understand that. We've all been down this road before.
The Watch Dogs.
Yeah,
way of life.
absolutely. So I think in No Man's Sky, if you remember that whole debacle, but I think
we don't talk about that.
I think we live in the time period that is battle royale. Everything is battle royale. That's kind of the dominant powerhouse in the market. You can't walk out your front door without somebody who knows about Fortnite. I think for people like me, a co-op PvE experience where I can sit on the couch, play with my friends, and just, not have to worry about the guy across from me being a sweaty tryhard who does this all day, and just enjoy this time with my friends. I think they really have something there. Now, as far as this being a superhero game, they have a big task ahead of them of making you feel like a unique character in this universe. I don't know if it's you have custom heroes or if you customize the already existing canon heroes from the Marvel Universe. Did they clarify that, Max?
They haven't really said anything about which characters are in it. And to be honest, I don't think Marvel's going to let them do that till the day of, given how much they're pushing with Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3.
I am excited to see something like this outside of the Ultimate Universe. I love Ultimate Alliance, but I don't necessarily like the Ultimates or the Ultimate Universe as it exists. So it'll be nice to see something with Canon 616, or at least an approximation of that. I'm really excited. This is super good news for me.
I think it'll be interesting to see with the like customization of characters and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys got into it, but DC Universe Online actually has that kind of concept. They have the open world thing going for them. You make your own superhero basically, and the DC characters are just literally NPCs that you interact with in the world. It'd be interesting to see something like that, but I think I honestly would rather play as, Captain America or Spider-Man or, as some of those characters. But it'll be, I think it'll be fantastic either way. But it's just an interesting concept. DC Universe Online was a fun kind of experimental thing when it started out. And I don't know if it really got...
it's an online universe.
Yeah, it's an online universe.
You know what you're getting into, and I don't think that's what this is going to be.
And I realize it's a totally different game in general, but yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see if you had the option to do both, maybe, or something like that. I don't know. I think either way, I'm gonna be geeked about this game, but it'll be interesting to see what kind of game it plays off as.
Here is the EA announced live stream lineup for June 8th, starting at 9:15 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I just want to hear which one you guys are most excited about. They got Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, Apex Legends, Battlefield 5, FIFA 20, Madden 20, and Sims 4. Robbie, which one excites you the most?
Battlefield 5.
Tell me why.
I love the Battlefield games. It's tough to get people into them, and because the online modes can take so long. But man, those games are beautiful. You feel like you're wherever you are, you're there. And the other reason, those other games just don't really excite me all that much. That was the one you said I didn't know it was coming. That my eyes lit up a little bit. The other thing else is just, Mark will have his Sims 4 and he'll be really happy, but it's not for me.
What about you? Let's go to you, Jarret.
So I know I just dissed on Apex, but actually that's the most exciting for me. I think they had momentum going into it, and they were proposed to be the ones to overthrow Fortnite. And there were just some things that didn't quite hit the mark. And I think we as an audience expected it to be a little more polished, a little closer to Fortnite than it was. And maybe that was bad on our part to expect so much. But I think they've slowly but surely been trying to course correct and say, okay, we know what you want. We're listening to you, and trying to fix that. And I think whatever their big announcement is for E3, I really hope it's good for them, because Isaac and I were playing it last night. I enjoy Apex. I think it's awesome. And I think it has the potential to be better than it is now.
I would disagree in regards to us having too high of an expectation. I think Fortnite set the bar, and I think Apex needed to shoot up the bar, and they weren't able to do that in some ways. For me as a player, when I got into it, it wasn't nearly as entertaining for me. Obviously, it's a little more cartoony in the Fortnite realm versus Apex, but I think Apex has some ground to cover here. I do think, where I do agree with you, though, is this is their opportunity really to turn a new page and go, all right, this is what you guys wanted. This is what we learned from the kind of the missteps that you've alluded to. And here's what we're going to give you going into. Is it season 3 now they're going into?
They're still on season 1. They're announcing season 2.
Oh my gosh, I thought they were on season 2. I apologize. Isaac, go ahead.
Mine is definitely the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Like I said, I'm all for any Star Wars content, and there just hasn't really been an awesome Star Wars RPG for a while. So if this one can live up to the very high expectations that are kind of out there for it, I will be very excited to play it.
Can I just piggyback off of Isaac? Like, I would have said the Star Wars, but for the reason that you also alluded to, that's the reason I kept it off, because I know you guys really enjoyed the new Battlefront games. I didn't enjoy them that much. I thought they were a letdown compared to the older Battlefronts that were on like the original Xbox. Like, I love those games, and I didn't get that same feeling from the new ones. So I'm kind of let down on Star Wars stuff. So if hopefully we can get something somewhat close to Knights of the Old Republic, that's what I want. But if it's not that, I'm just kind of like, yeah, I'll wait for someone else to buy it, and then maybe I'll try it.
Yeah, the last Star Wars Battlefield game was, jeez, it's terrible. Jarret, you wanted to talk about Dauntless a little bit too. You've kind of picked up this game. All three of you have really picked up this game the last couple weeks. Yeah, Robbie, Jarret, Isaac, tell me about this game and why it's so appealing to you guys.
I'll let Isaac and Robbie go first because I think I have a lot to say that's pretty heavy hitting, so I'll save that kind of for the back end.
You don't have to yell. Okay. Come on.
I'll just say this. I love Monster Hunter World, and I like that game better still. I think the reason I like Dauntless is because there's a better chance to get people on it. It seems like more of a game that anyone could pick up. Like, Max, you could download it and you probably enjoy it because it has that more cartoony feel and you don't have to be as engaged in the world. Whereas Monster Hunter, you need to know every little thing about a creature, all your gear that you have to make, what weapons work best, where to find the creature, and where, as and I'm sure Jarret and I think Isaac are all on board. Like, I think we like Monster Hunter World, and we might even like it more. But I think with Dauntless, it's just so much easier to just walk in and you just know what you're doing, and it's not that hard. And I think that's the appeal to it, where you can build stuff and it's pretty easy. It's not as big of a deal which armor you're wearing. You can kind of just wear the cool armor. Whereas in Monster Hunter World, you need to be wearing the correct armor and have the correct things going. Where in Dauntless, you can just jump in and kind of just have fun, and your friends will jump on and have fun because it's free.
Yeah, I'll agree with Robbie there. And what I had kind of planned to say is that Dauntless is basically like a simplified version of Monster Hunter World, and I think that's why it's going to catch some steam. And I have never been a huge fan or player of any Japanese RPGs, just because for the fact that they just confuse me, and Monster Hunter World is no different. Like, there's just so much stuff that you have to learn to be able to play that game. When I picked it up right away, I had to have Jarret coach me through just about everything because I was like, what the heck is going on in this game? It took me like the first probably 2 or 3 hours of gameplay to really get the feel for it. Whereas, like you said, Robbie, you can literally just jump into Dauntless and be like, all right, we're going to go on a couple hunts here. And it's not hard to get into. You don't have to get, super crazy about it or anything like that. Like you said, Max, you could literally just pick it up and you could play with us, because it's not that hard. But I still do like Monster Hunter World better just because it seems like more of a challenge, and the graphics and visuals in Monster Hunter World are just incredible. So it's just fun to play that game for that reason. But I think it's Epic Games, right, that created
Correct.
Dauntless? I think Epic has...
Yeah, that's why it looks like Fortnite.
Exactly.
It's Monster Hunter Fortnite.
I think Epic has really got a cool formula going. They're creating all these games and they're making them free to play, so people can just download them, hop on, and then if they happen to, buy some cool stuff in the store, some microtransactions, so be it,
I'm close. I'm close to spending $10.
It's that cool of a game. And then you think, hey, I got this game for free, so what's $5 or $10 to spend on this game? It's really, and that's how Fortnite suckered us all in. We were like, oh, it's a free game. I could spend $20 on this battle pass or this skin or whatever. And before you know it, you've already spent $50, $60+ on whatever, your heart desires in the Fortnite store. But I think Epic Games really has something there. But, they have an edge over other games like EA, and that was the big thing about Battlefront 2 when it came out, was the game itself was $60. And then you have all these microtransactions. Like initially, I think you had to pay, I forget how much it was, but in order to be able to play as Darth Vader, you needed to pay a certain amount or play it was a ridiculous, 200 or 300 hours of gameplay to unlock Darth Vader.
I think it was more than that. I think it was
really?
600.
It was just
it was crazy. It was a crazy amount.
So I think that's where Epic Games has done a great job of kind of adapting these popular games and putting them into free-to-play, more casual environment. And, it's fun to just jump in there with your friends, play a couple rounds or whatever, and then, move on to something else.
Go ahead, Jarret.
So obviously, I'm kind of the Monster Hunter guy of the group. I, was weaned off the bottle on the original Monster Hunter. I've been there from the beginning.
Monster Hunter expert.
And and you guys are completely right. You think Monster Hunter World is inapproachable. The originals were so bad for that. And I think Dauntless does that well, where it is very, very approachable. I think Epic Games is the studio to do something like this, because a lot of us forget that Fortnite was originally the Save the World. It was this cartoony tower defense, third-person or first-person shooter, and they just thought, hey, let's throw in a battle royale mode. So if anybody can innovate and take something that already exists as a concept and improve or pivot on it, and take the best parts of something, we've seen
literally take
correct.
Stuff.
We've seen Epic do this with
they just take people
right.
Ideas.
They just stole a bunch of stuff from Apex, and so I think Dauntless has the potential to be that. I think going free to play was smart with this. In Japan, you could never, ever, ever tackle the beast that is Monster Hunter. But in America, the market's wide open. I think Monster Hunter World did a good job here, but there's still the potential for something like this to take off. I think, and I said this last night on the stream, I think this has the potential to either be, so if Monster Hunter is PUBG, right, this established, the standard by which everything after it was to be set, then Dauntless either could be a Realm Royale or it could be Fortnite. And that's kind of up to Epic with how they go with that. I think there's a lot of pressure to make it and make it well. People are clamoring for something like this. I will still always play Monster Hunter. It will still always be my first love. I do think it is a better game, but Dauntless is fun right now, and I probably will spend more time on that in the next coming months than I will on Monster Hunter, at least until Iceborne comes out.
I think you're doing Monster Hunter World a bit of a disservice by comparing it to PUBG.
Yeah, I mean, Monster Hunter is...
There's no better comparison because PUBG was
right.
the first battle royale game that was kind of big, but Monster Hunter is head and tails
way
so much better than Dauntless. Really, it's just harder for people to just jump in. You have to spend 5 hours just to be able to really play the game. So it's we get what you're saying.
I think Dauntless
so much better than PUBG.
Dauntless versus Monster Hunter is really a David and Goliath story if David has already slain a giant before this, right? Because Epic's done this before.
Right.
I guess that's the comparison I would make. Mm-hmm. But this giant is bigger and better and harder to take down.
Well, and they're not necessarily. I mean, yeah, they are competing with Monster Hunter World because they are direct. I mean, basically the same game in a different package, but they're appealing to an American audience that I would say a large percentage of don't even know Monster Hunter exists or have no interest at all. But Dauntless,
you're appealing to the Fortnite
you're
kids.
Appealing to those kids, and Dauntless has the capacity to attract people that Monster Hunter won't hear. In Asia, it's a totally different story, but here you're going to get a bigger crowd that Monster Hunter will ever get.
Well, great. We're going to move on to our next segment. We're going to move on to what's hot, what's snot. And before we kind of get into this, we haven't really talked about our rating system yet. We haven't really had much to rate. We've just been kind of discussing news and things like that. We've talked about do we put our rating system in already?
Yeah,
Am I just being an idiot right now and I forgot that we put our rating system in?
I think we did, yeah.
I'm such an idiot. I'm sorry. Well, we're going to be rating them some things. And what's hot, what's not. We talk about the things in pop culture that are relevant to us right now. Some things we're watching that are new. Some things that are older. Maybe we took us a while to get around to it. We have jobs, people. Okay? Come on. Don't be so rude. And then we talk about the things that we hated in what's snot. So you got to bring something good and you got to bring something bad to the table. So we're going to go ahead and start with Jarret this time. Jarret, will you tell us what's hot and what's snot for you today?
Isaac's giving us something. Okay. I'm really excited. Let's go with hot first. I think the PS Plus games for this upcoming month, they were just announced. We're getting the Borderlands collection and Sonic Mania. I think PS Plus with the free games that they've been launching, those have been hot lately. Me and my wife have played a ton of Overcooked. I don't know who decides what games they put out there, but they've been hitting the mark time after time, and I'm excited to play. I'm excited to play next month's with Borderlands and Sonic Mania. So that's one of my hots. One of my other hots would be Dauntless. We've already talked about it for all these reasons, but I just got a PC that's pretty hardy, and I like that Epic Games has crossplay where if I'm on my PC doing my thing, playing my game, I can still play with my buddies who are on the PlayStation. Sometimes I don't have access to the TV, and I want to play in here, so those are my two hots. Anything to add to those before I get to my what's snots?
No, I mean, yeah, you keep doing your thing. I think we're in a posture of listening.
Sure. As far as what's not, truthfully, I haven't found much that I am not happy for. I would say my biggest what's not for this week is another Call of Duty game. I know they sell. It's like the Fast and Furious of video games. I play them time and time again, but I won't buy the new one. I don't really keep up. I just kind of play whatever old ones my friends are on. I felt like Call of Duty hasn't been innovative for a very, very, very long time. And to me, I'm not excited to see another Modern Warfare. I really don't see what it's going to change. So yeah, that's my what's hot, what's not.
Do you think them calling it Modern Warfare is going to change that? Like, do you think they're actually going to care about the original Modern Warfare, which is clearly like one of the best in the series?
Not at all.
Or do you think they're just calling it? You think they're just calling it that just to kind of build off previous momentum?
It's to grab the nostalgia. That's all. I mean, that's all pop culture is right now, is trying to appease guys our age who watched these shows, played these games, listened to this stuff, consumed it back in the day. They're really just trying to hit our nostalgia and get us to buy another Call of Duty game.
Okay, Robbie, what's hot? What's not to you, man?
What's hot is, Robert Pattinson has been announced as the Batman. Is that hot? I don't really know. I wanted him more than Nicholas Hoult. Is how you say his last name? The news came out that it was down to those two. It was down to Robert Pattinson and Nicholas Hoult. And if it's down to those two, I want Robert Pattinson 100%. Nicholas Hoult is a great actor. He doesn't look like a Bruce Wayne to me. And I was never going to buy him as a Bruce Wayne. Another what's hot is Swamp Thing, released on DC Universe channel. I have not been able to watch it yet, but I'm really excited. All the trailers looked really good. I think DC has a chance to actually have a few really, really good shows. It kind of sucks that they're all on their app and you have to, either do the free trial or you have to pay the monthly fee, which I don't think is actually bad when you get all the comic books. I just recently subscribed to it. It comes with thousands and thousands of comic books and runs that are really, really good. So it's really worth it, but it's still hard to get people to spend another $8 on a
I was just going to ask that, Robbie. Is it $8 a month is what you said?
Yes, it's $7.99.
Gosh, dude, I'm just going to spoil what's on my list, too. I have Swamp Thing trailer on my list.
Awesome.
I am so excited. I'm going to be subscribing to watch this show, Robbie.
Well, I'll just give some love to Doom Patrol. I'm 3 episodes into Doom Patrol. I was hearing all this good positive feedback on it, and I went into it thinking it was going to be something completely different, and man, this show is just weird and funny. And it's just awesome. It works. It's a really enjoyable watch. You don't expect it. I think that's a really, really good show. If you get the DC Universe app, I think that's another one you need to binge watch.
What about Titans?
I have not yet delved into that. I'm going to after I get caught up on Doom Patrol. That's the one I'm not that as excited about. Out of all of them that are on there, that's the one I'm just kind of like, I'll get to it when I get to it. Kind of like with the CW shows.
DC fans speak really highly of it, though, man. They speak really highly of that show.
And I hear that, but that's where I get my mixed signals, because everyone else who isn't like a diehard DC fan is like, it's okay. And that's kind of where I've been with a lot of DC stuff lately. I'm not the fanboy like I once was when Batman v Superman was coming out, and I was just jumping headfirst into anything DC made and just fighting for it. I just can't fight anymore for him.
Insert confused meme here.
You should be confused. I'm just done fighting for him. I'm just give me content that's decent, just good stuff. Stop giving me subpar stuff.
I said something in the group chat a while ago, and it was something like, maybe DC should just like bomb on purpose so Disney buys them out, and then they can start making good movies.
I'd be fine with that, because Disney knows what they're doing, and WB just wants to put their hands into everything that DC's doing, and just it seems like they're wrecking everything. I don't know. I'm
those
just done
pesky
fighting
Warner
for
Brothers. I'll tell you what, those guys.
Yeah, those two Warner Brothers, just those
pesky
guys.
Warner Brothers. They're at it again.
So pesky.
Ah, darn it.
And the snot I have for this week is, have you guys seen the reviews for Godzilla, King of Monsters?
No.
People don't like it. Like, movie reviewers don't like it.
Have you seen it?
I have not seen it.
Okay.
So I'm going purely based off of...
You're snotting the reviews.
I'm going purely based off, because here's what the reviews say. A lot of the reviews are saying, cool monster fights, but not a lot of human element, and that's where the movie drowns. And I'm just like, it's a Godzilla movie. All I want from a Godzilla movie is awesome monster fights. And that's from the people that I trust that review movies. That's what they say. They say, if you want an awesome monster fest where they fight and it's really cool to see, you got it. That's what I want. That's all I want from Godzilla. And that's my snot, is people that are attacking. They're not attacking, but they're saying the movie isn't that good because the human element is subpar.
It's literally a bunch of monsters in a movie. Like, what did you expect was going to be in the movie?
Exactly. I expect to go and be entertained.
Robbie, you have to review this movie. Now that you've said this,
I'll go. I have free time this week. I'm going.
Yeah, you have to review this movie either next week or whenever you're available next time.
I got free time this week.
You have to review it. I got to hear your thoughts on this.
All right.
So, anything else?
I believe that's it. I think that's it.
I think Isaac. I think I was gonna have you go, but I'm gonna go next just because he got me going with my list. So, I'm gonna start with what's snot. I like to start negative. I'm gonna start with the Rambo Last Blood trailer. Here's the reason I'm snotting this trailer. They used Old Town Road as their background music for this trailer.
Of course they did.
Boo.
I'm not speaking ill of the song. That's not what I'm saying.
You should.
I'm not. I actually think the song's good. I think the song's decent. It's just like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Like, this is what's happening to Stallone right now. I was just like, come on, dude. And especially given how amazing the Creed series has been.
Yeah.
I felt like that was a disservice to him, and I felt like just find some epic movie trailer music, put that back there. Don't give me the shots of him with the horses playing just so you can play Old Town Road. Come on, that was ridiculous. So literally for that song, that's getting a snot. I watched Good Omens episode 1. You can watch the show on Amazon Prime today. I finished episode 1 today. Sarah and my wife and I got to watch it, and I am snotting this show through one episode. I'm going to try to watch it 2 more episodes just to kind of give it a chance, maybe, to say. I'm having a hard time even like understanding how I'm going to try to do that because I was just so bored during this show. The trailers make it out to be this really funny show. I'll kind of give. It's the tale of the bungling of Armageddon, featuring an angel and a demon and an 11-year-old antichrist and a doomsaying witch. And so basically, it's about these 2 guys who are basically the angel and the demon that started humanity. So the demon is the role of Satan in the Adam and Eve story, and the angel is the one who kind of closes off the Garden of Eden, and then it fast forwards to talk about just like, hey, this is what's going on as Armageddon approaches, and then the demon's name is Crowley. He has to deliver the Antichrist, and it kind of takes off from there. This one has David Tennant, Michael Sheen. It's actually got some interesting names in here. John Hamm's in it. And then Nick Offerman is in it as well. And that's just kind of some of the bigger names. There's also some really great talent. But yeah, man, I snot this. I'm actually going to give this a 2 out of 6, this first episode. Really boring. And I can say, I'll articulate that I have this Christian background. So going into the show, that's going to kind of play against it. I understand that. But it really was just boring. And honestly, a lot of the jokes I heard in the trailers are what I was laughing at during the show. And just for me, I'm like, if you give me your best stuff on the front end and you're showing me a show that's kind of boring, I don't really care about some of these characters. John Hamm's in it, and I'm like really excited to see him. And his role is pretty minor through one episode. Yeah, this show could potentially be doing something. What I would describe this show as a British version of Supernatural. That's how I'll describe it. It's like British Supernatural. And Supernatural was good for a couple seasons, but the weakness of Supernatural has been when it kind of got really into angels and demons fighting each other. And so that's what I'd say on that. So that's what's Snot. You can check it out on Amazon Prime if you want to try it. It might be something you want to check out, and that's fine. But through one episode, I'm snotting that. But I may come back and change it. So I got some other stuff. I'm going to what's hot this. James Holzhauer. I'm sorry. I want to make sure I say this guy's name right. James Holzhauer. This guy has been on a streak in Jeopardy that has been unbelievable. And if you don't know who this guy is, you need to just go Google him today. His name's James Holzhauer. James Holzhauer. And he has over $2.5 million through 30 plus days of playing Jeopardy. He is very close to breaking Ken Jennings, the record holder, his amount of made. And this guy is hilarious to watch. He's an amazing Twitter follow. If you ever want to follow him on Twitter, go follow this guy. He's hilarious, very self-aware. He's like this sports gambling guy who has basically mastered pressing the button quicker than everybody else around him, is kind of how I'll say it. And what he does is he starts from the bottom of the Jeopardy board, moves his way up, and then what happens is he doubles his money so early on that nobody else can catch him. He basically is trying to find all the daily doubles. It's really phenomenal, and the dude averages like $70,000 to $80,000 a game. So I'm not a big Jeopardy guy, but this has been going on in pop culture, and I hot this because some people have been saying that this is bad for the game, and I'm like, Jeopardy, nobody cared about Jeopardy before that. Like, we wouldn't even talked about Jeopardy if it was bad for the game.
I'm going to jump in here, and there was a guy, I don't even remember his name. He was an Asian guy like maybe 4 or 5 years ago that was going on a hot streak like this, and he had the same kind of strategy, like approach. Like he would just go randomly across the board just looking for the daily doubles, whereas, you know, the traditional way to play Jeopardy is you start at the highest one and you work your way down. And people were saying that too, that it's like, oh, this is bad for Jeopardy. Like, and I'm like, it's literally a game show. Like, what else do you want them to do?
Right. No one was talking about Jeopardy 2 weeks or however long ago that he wasn't on. No one was talking about Jeopardy.
Yeah, and on top of it, actually, Isaac, it's interesting. I'll post it to the show notes. There's a video going around of actually he did the numbers on how many times daily doubles were picked on every single spot on the board. So he intentionally attacks the highest strategic spots.
See, that's my kind of guy.
While he watches it. Yeah, like crazy statistician guy.
That is brilliant.
He's a brilliant mind. He's incredibly intelligent.
Would you say he has a beautiful mind?
Maybe. Some would say that. So if you're not watching Jeopardy, check him out. He is playing, I believe we're going to put this out on Monday, but he probably, if you're listening sometime first, second week of June, he's probably going to still be going because I've been listening to him in interviews. He does not seem disappointed. I'll put it that way. So, yeah. This news just came out today from Dark Horizons, and I want to share it with you guys because this is phenomenal. This is a fascinating story. This is what's hot, and you guys can maybe hop in on this. this one as well. And the news is this. This comes from Garth Franklin on Dark Horizons. He says, the title reads, Fox almost made a Marvel crossover film. And it was from the quote from Zach Stentz. He was the writer of Thor and X-Men First Class. And it says this. He says, my ex-partner and I were working at Fox and working on X-Men First Class. We did a secret movie for them that I can't tell you what the plot was, but I can tell you that it used all of the characters, all of the Marvel characters that Fox had at the time in 2011. It used the X-Men, Fantastic Four, Daredevil, Deadpool. Daredevil was still there at the time, and it was a really freaking cool script. We almost had Paul Greengrass directing it, which would have been really cool, but he had another project to do instead. It didn't end up going, but it was a script I was really proud of, and it would have been really good. Guys, I know this is what's hot for me, because I'm really glad that Fox didn't make this, but what is your reaction to this?
Didn't even know that was a thing. It sounds like something that would have crashed and burned, honestly. And I know that's so harsh on Fox, but man, their track record is just so bad. Like, it sounds like almost sounds like Justice League approach. Just throw everything into one pit, and maybe it'll work. That's almost what that sounds like, because they didn't have a big shared universe to jump into with that. They were just gonna throw everyone together. Is that what you just said?
Yeah,
basically
that was going to be the movie.
Yeah, so it's Justice League, but more characters.
Well, and Fox ended up choosing Fantastic Four, Fanfortastic, which we rate as a 1. Jarret, what do you think of this?
I mean, I guess if that's the option, I guess you can't actually do worse.
Yeah, true.
So maybe they should have gone that route.
Right.
I don't know. It sounds like both routes were bad routes. They should have just sold to Marvel then.
Jarret, what do you think?
What would this have been with the established like Ben Affleck Daredevil, or would this have been an all-new cast?
No way.
Either way,
no way.
This would have been a flop. But I think it's interesting to see that the MCU concept, at least a horrible version of it, existed somewhere down the line with Fox. I'm glad they didn't do it, but it's interesting to think that 2011, I believe, was when Iron Man came out. So it's interesting to see that somebody else had that idea as well, albeit a bad one.
Do you think that if it would have made more than what Fanfortastic made? Like, do you think it legitimately would have made that? Or do you think it wouldn't have done that? There's no way.
It would have. It would have with the X-Men.
It would have made more.
Because they would have had the established X-Men universe at least in there, and that would have given them a little bit of a backbone for the movie. And yeah, it probably would have been a flop. But I'd rather have a flop that had the X-Men in it than the flop that was Fanfortastic, because that was like the worst superhero movie of all time. So,
but see, it probably would have made more money, but would they have made money? Because imagine the money they would have had to spend just to get all those actors in it.
True.
Yeah, it's a good point. Man, interesting.
It just sounds like hot garbage to me.
Fox is just a mess. Thank the Lord that Disney bought them for the superhero part of it. The monopoly part of it, of like Fox having this huge monopoly, isn't really great, but in regards to Marvel, it's fantastic news. It's just hilarious. Those guys, the fact that they don't know what they're doing is ridiculous. Finally, I'll post this link as well in our show notes. Keanu Reeves is potentially up for a role in the new Eternals movie. He is rumored to be playing a villain. Guys, what's your reaction to this? Because I'm saying what's hot to it.
Ooh, yeah, that's hot.
Hot. Keanu Reeves in the MCU. I don't care what he is. Put him in the MCU. We need him.
Has Keanu ever played a villain?
Not that
I can't think of it. Could you just imagine his coolness and calmness in a villain role?
Villain, that sounds epic.
Oh,
he was up for Jan Rog, played by Jude Law in Captain Marvel. I think you would have done really well in that role.
Oh, yeah, you would have. I think he's going to do well in whatever role he has, because he's just a phenomenal actor. But
he's another one of those that DC should have grabbed when they had the chance. Same with Tom Hardy, who got away.
Well, especially with John Wick. John Wick's been crushing it. I mean, Mark talked about it last week on the show. It's like John Wick is not going anywhere. They're going to make those movies till they can't.
The guy we listen to on YouTube, Max, I just can't.
Stuckman.
He made a really good analogy with Keanu Reeves, and John Wick has become Keanu Reeves' most dependable line of movies. And that's crazy to say when he has The Matrix at his back. But the Matrix movies got worse and worse as they went on, whereas John Wick is actually getting better.
That wasn't his fault though. Like the
No,
the
and it's not.
Matrix movies
It's
were
not
his
Keanu's fault, but
No.
it's just crazy that you can say that now about movies that Keanu is in.
There are movies that are actors' fault, and there are others that aren't, and that's a category I'd put that. Like Keanu is perfect for that role. I don't want to give him that flack, but yeah, I agree. Like John Wick clearly has done some amazing things, and it's on my watch list of like I'm gonna watch this when it comes out on renting or free. I mean, when I can on demand this thing, I'm gonna watch it, and I'm really excited about it. I'm really looking forward to it. So that's
Not
my
that
what's
excited though, because you're just waiting to rent it.
Well,
It's in theaters, like,
here's
you
the
could
thing.
go to it.
Well, yeah, I'll my rebuttal to that would be this: that I got to watch the other two first. So for me, I'm like, I'd rather
You
just
haven't
watch
watched the
all
other
three
two?
back to back to
Okay.
back. That's the only reason.
Yeah, you need to watch those. Those are
I
so
do.
good.
I know. It's
jump on
not.
the
And again,
bandwagon.
I was listening to Pop Culture Leftovers, another podcast that I listened to, and one of the guys on there was like, "Yeah, I just haven't listened to it. I mean, I haven't watched it because I'm just like, I just never got around to it." And that's kind of how I am with John Wick. I've had no negative or ill feelings for it. Like, I told Mark that last week. I was like, I'm gonna go check this out. It's not like Brightburn where I'm like, I hear about Brightburn. Nope, not gonna go see it. I wanted to go see it, then I heard about it. Nope, I'm good. And that's kind of how I look at it. So, Jarret, let's close out with you. What's hot? What's not to you?
I already did mine.
Oh no, we're going Robbie. Doggone it, that's 2 times. Or it's Isaac. I'm just going down the list, everybody but Isaac. Can we,
Yeah,
Robbie?
just
Can you
forget
just go
about me.
again
That's
so that
fine.
we
That's
don't
fine.
have to have Isaac do another?
No,
What's Hot,
yeah,
What's Not?
yeah. I'm just the logical one here, so nobody wants to hear my logical takes here over here. So everybody wants to hear Robbie's bad takes, but not Isaac's logical takes.
I just get really excited about John Wick and Keanu Reeves. I'm sorry.
Okay. So
Go ahead,
actually, I'm going to start with my hot because that actually was on my hot list was Keanu Reeves being in talks to be in the Eternals. Like, and I feel like this Marvel is really doing a great job with the Eternals because this is like just such a like nobody knows what this is going to be like, and they're going to introduce a lot of characters that are not well established characters. And what they're doing is they're just loading up with star-studded cast. They've already got now I'm blanking on her name.
Angelina Jolie.
Angelina Jolie. The guy, yeah, I should have looked this up before.
They're going the Guardians of the Galaxy route.
Yeah, they're
'Cause
just
they know
like
what they're doing.
they're loading up with these huge cast names so that people are going to be like, oh, hey, you know what? I don't know any of these, but this person's in it, so I might go see it. And then
They're
once
going with a huge cast list of names that Isaac has no idea about.
yeah, right, exactly. So once people,
So
like-
Isaac, here's just so you know, here's the list of cast, just so you know.
okay, thank you.
It's
thank you.
Richard Madden, Angelina Jolie, Camille Nanjiani,
Kumail, that's the one that I was
Yep.
looking at too. I was
and
like,
then Dong Suk Ma.
not familiar with that one.
Star-studded cast. You heard
But-
it here first from Isaac.
But yes, like everybody is going to go to this opening weekend because not everybody. There's going to be a larger portion than probably would have if they didn't have a star-studded cast that are going to go to this first weekend. They're going to watch it, and then it's going to be word of mouth from there because obviously it's going to be a good Disney MCU movie. So I think it actually will do okay. I'm projecting. I mean, it's a way far away. This is like a year and potentially a half away. This is projected to come out next like June or something like that, I believe, right? Or June or July or something next summer. So I think it'll do better probably than Doctor Strange, which is not really saying a lot because I think Doctor Strange only made like 600 million around that plateau. But I don't think it's going to be like $1 billion movie like all these other hyped up movies that we've been just getting dished to this whole year. But I think it's going to do better than people are going to think it will.
Well, I think that depends on how you look at it because it's just, I'm sorry if I'm taking this from you, but it's basically, I mean, remember when Guardians of the Galaxy came out? Like, Zane, who's a big Marvel guy, I was like, this is my favorite box I ever put Zane in. I asked him, tell me all the names of the people in the Guardians of the Galaxy. Couldn't tell me. So it's like, it's the same thing. If it's good, and Disney has done such a good job at making these movies that no one knows anything about, and then making them good, and then everyone knows about them. Now the Guardians of the Galaxy is usually on top 5 of everyone's favorite Marvel movies. So, I mean, Disney knows what they're doing. It sounds like they're going to do the same thing here.
Right, exactly. So that was my first thing on hot list. My next hot is actually a Amazon Prime original show called The Tick. I don't know if you guys have gotten into this show, watched it at all. It's based on a superhero called The Tick, who was ironically created by a guy named Ben Edlund. Really weird because there's not many Edlunds out there. But so this guy is basically a cartoon creator, made this character called The Tick back in the 90s, and it's basically a parody of just your general superhero. Like, The Tick is this guy who just rolls in there, doesn't care what's going on. He's going to save everybody in the area, regardless if they need saving or not. And because of that, it is a very, very satirical parody show. So I totally get why it's not a huge hit, because people that don't get superheroes see it and they're like, wow, this show is so dumb. It's just ridiculously cheesy. But when you look at it from a geek, like, comic perspective, it is brilliant and hilarious. Pilot episode was not super fantastic, but I've watched like 3 or 4 now, and it is getting better and better with each episode. So I would highly recommend it if you're into, satirical, cheesy shows. I would give it a 4 out of 6 stones at this time, pending the rest of season 1 and 2 that are on Amazon Prime. Really excited to watch the rest of it, and it is really easy to watch because they're only 30-minute episodes, so you can just fly right through them. Have you guys?
It got canceled.
Yeah, I know, but there's
Okay,
already
I just thought we
season 1
should
and 2.
put that out there.
Yeah, it's already season 1 and 2 are already on Amazon
It
Prime.
can be new or old, Robbie. Come on.
I'm just letting him know that it got canceled. I didn't know if he knew or not.
Yes, I knew
I
that.
watched season 1 and I really like the show. I think it's a really fun show, and it's a good break away from the seriousness and the big universes and everything. It's just a fun show to watch. It's goofy and silly, but
Yep.
you
Fun,
can have
goofy, silly.
you can have your kids sitting there watching and they'll watch because there's a big blue guy and it's fun.
Yeah, right. So that is on my hot list. And my last thing I have on my hot list is Bohemian Rhapsody, which I just finally got around to watching with my wife the other night. And I would give that a 4 out of 6 Infinity Stones ranking as well. It is a great movie. Does a great, filming and everything is fantastic. Cinematography, score. Obviously, it's Queen, so you can't really go wrong with Queen. What's his name? I'm just terrible with names this episode right now. The guy,
I just love when you say something's really popular and then you forget it. That's my favorite thing.
Are you talking about Freddie Mercury, or are you talking about Raheem Malik? Is that his name?
I'm talking. Yeah, Raheem Malik.
Keep going. It's Freddie Mercury, by the way. Isaac.
Well, yeah, I know Freddie Mercury. I'm talking about the actor that played Freddie Mercury, Rami Malek. Yes, I believe.
Yes,
you're
from Mr. Robot.
You're correct. Yes. So he does a great job of playing Freddie Mercury. I think it got a little bit of overhype when it came out, and to be honest, I'm just not a biopic guy. So all those types of movies are just super predictable. Obviously, they're supposed to be predictable. You know what happens to the band or the person in those shows, but to me, that just makes the movie not quite as interesting. But the movie itself is fantastic, great acting. I think they kind of glanced over Freddie Mercury's kind of personal history with homosexuality and AIDS a little bit, which is kind of weird because that's what he was all about. So I think that was kind of
well, that's why a lot of the critics hated on it winning so many awards.
And
they were like, that movie, this isn't the movie we were wanting or expecting.
Right. And so what they did was they made a good movie out of it, even if it wasn't completely accurate or whatever. And that's typical band biopic type movies like that. They don't necessarily tell the whole truth. They just make a good movie about that singer, actress, whatever. So I would give it a 4 out of 6 because it's a very, very well made movie, great acting. I wouldn't drop what I'm doing and go watch it again. But definitely if you're into band movies, I mean, if you love Queen, it's a fantastic movie. He does an awesome job emulating Freddie Mercury So I would recommend that. The next thing, which I have only one on my Snot list, actually, is a tweet that I saw that I'm going to pull up here.
Okay.
So Mark Hughes is this guy on Twitter. He's a writer for Forbes, I believe. And he writes about, pop culture. He tweeted, it was in response to some of the DC EU stuff that was going on. He says, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, Margot Robbie are all part of previous DCEU. Their films will play out for a few more years, then those versions of characters will end. Separately, a new, different DCU is going to be created with Batman, Supergirl, etc. Then after Gal, Jason, and Margot are gone, their characters will get rebooted. And I don't know who Mark Hughes is, so I can't speak to his sources or anything like that in DC. But if that is true, Warner Brothers, we already knew that Warner Brothers is just totally screwing up the DC movie universe. But if that's true, they're just digging themselves into more holes. They've set up this universe, and you're telling me that you're going to just throw it in the trash and start a new one? When I saw that tweet, my inner Robbie came out of me, and it just was boiling over. I couldn't believe that this, and like I said, I don't know who Mark Hughes is, so I can't speak to his integrity or knowledge of the DC
He's got a
universe,
blue check mark. That's all that matters.
Yeah, he seems to know what he's talking about. So I was just like, oh my gosh, if he has any insight into WB and what they're doing over there, and this is true at all, this is just ridiculous. And Robbie, I'm just going to let you take it from there, because I am infuriated by it. I can't imagine that a DC fan would be any less infuriated by it.
I've said this before. I'm just over it. Like, if you're going to make a universe, go full in on the universe. If you're going to blow it up, blow it up. If you're going to go back to just single runs of heroes, give us a couple good Batman movies and, keep the guy. Like, if Pattinson's a guy, keep him for a few years if the movies still keep doing good. But stop giving us half-baked movies that you can market a lot and get your money back. Like, that's basically all WB is doing. They're getting their money back. But they could be what Marvel is and make, billions and billions of dollars because they have the characters to do it. They just don't have the direction that Marvel does. And I'm just so beyond over with it. And
they could be better than Marvel.
They
could legitimately be better than Marvel. We've said it on this show at least 2-3 times.
The DC source material is fantastic.
It is better than the Justice League franchise is better than the Avengers franchise in a comic book way.
By far.
But now what's happening?
Just dug themselves a hole, and it's just, I don't know. I'm just over it. I just want decent content, and I just don't care anymore. The DC fans, myself included, have been let down. And the saddest part is that there's some DC fans that are such big fanboys that they think anything DC makes is gold, and it's
on
not.
Top of that too, Robbie, they're going to lose the long-term battle. DC will, because now these next generations of adolescents and kids, where are they going to? They're going to go to Marvel movies. They're going to go to Marvel movies, and they're going to see, oh, this is the big high product. This is what influenced me, so it's going to push me that direction. And DC's just going to continue to lose unless they double down on things like their animated stuff. But I just don't see it.
And
I don't think it can carry the momentum.
It sucks is I'm going to spend the money on it because I just want such good content from DC, from the things that I do love. But now any of the movies, like the trailers, even once we get to our trailers list, there's some trailers on here that I loved the trailers. I love the trailers more than I love some of the movies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, It just sucks.
Man.
It's not fun being in this world with what they've done with DC, the DC world. It's not fun being in the DC world.
That's a solid transition for us. Isaac, you got anything else for us, man?
Nope, that was my last and only thing on my Snot list. So
Cool, man. Let's get to the top 5.
We're going in 3,
Infinity Bros
2,
Top 5
1.
list starts now. All right, so we're going to do our top 5 movie trailers of all time. Now, Robbie alluded to this before the bumper. This does not necessarily mean that we think the movie is good. This just means, hey, this is one of the best trailers, most influential trailers to us as individuals. We're doing top 5. We also throw in honorable mentions. We do this every week on our show, a top 5 list. And this is what we're talking about this week. Robbie, we're going to start with you because I think you left just a great cliffhanger before we went to the bumper. So why don't you tell us your honorable mentions and top 5?
Well, I actually didn't write up an honorable mentions. That's
okay.
I was
Some people do.
It's think of my top 5.
You don't have to.
So my number 5, and this is a very new one, and I'm not even in love with like horror movies like this, but It Too, that the old lady trailer, man,
it was
when you
terrifying.
can watch it, when you can watch a trailer and you're like scared, like, and I mean Robert will burn me for this, but I don't get scared by horror movies from Hollywood, but like that trailer got me, like, and I was like, oh, I'm really interested. Like, that was better than some of the movies that are on my top 5 trailer list. And then number 4 would be Man of Steel. I'm sure Max will appreciate that. That's when they introduced that Christopher Reeve kind of music that they just made better, I think.
Preach.
And man, it's just, when you get a good Superman movie, you just hold on and you pray that you get another one, which we'll never get according to what Isaac just read. My number 3 would be Batman v Superman, the Comic-Con release trailer. I don't know if there's movies I've been more hyped about, but that trailer was like everything I wanted, and it got me excited, and I think that was during the prime of my DC Can Do No Wrong fanboy stage, which I'm gone now, but man, that made me so excited for what DC was doing. I thought, finally, we're going to catch up to Marvel. I thought that was going to be the movie that did it. The movie didn't. The trailer got me really excited, and because of that, I got so excited to go to the movie. And I don't think I've watched that movie since probably that first time it was released on Blu-ray. I think I watched it right away, and then I don't think I've watched it since. My number 2 is The Force Awakens. It had been such a long hiatus from a good Star Wars movie. And you can say what you want about the prequels 1 through 3. But those movies were fine, but they weren't as impactful, I think, as these newest Star Wars movies have been. I don't think they're as loved as these newest Star Wars movies. And that first Force Awakens trailer just got everyone excited again. They just, like, Star Wars just gives people hope. And I think that's kind of what it did. And my number 1, and gosh, of course it's my number 1, The Dark Knight Rises. Not The Dark Knight, The Dark Knight Rises.
We were having this discussion like before the show. That's hilarious.
No, it's The Dark Knight Rises because of what The Dark Knight was. And like, I was just as hyped going into The Dark Knight Rises as I was going into The Dark Knight. I don't think The Dark Knight Rises is as good of a movie. I don't think anyone would say it's better than The Dark Knight.
That trailer is fantastic, though.
The trailer's really good, and I love Tom Hardy's Bane. The trailer just got me in, and it just got me as excited as I was. So yeah, that's my number 1.
All right, let's head over to Isaac. Isaac, what are your top 5 movies of all time?
All right, I'm going to start off
movie trailers. I'm sorry.
Yes, movie trailers. I'm going to start off with a couple of honorable mentions here. So these two, I know they're not movies, and that's where we kind of got into it a little bit beforehand, like talking about, man, we could have movie trailers, we could have video game trailers, we could have TV trailers. These two are TV trailers, but they got me so hyped that they are. And this is a hard list for me because I honestly don't remember many trailers off the top of my head. So I had to literally research and watch all these trailers again and be like, okay, this one I remember got me super hyped. So anyways, the Stranger Things 2 and Stranger Things 3 trailer. The Stranger Things 3 trailer just came out maybe a month ago. And those trailers got me so hyped just because Stranger Things was an amazing first season. Second season was great as well. And both of those trailers have that awesome 80s vibe feel along with the music and stuff like that. Super great. Got me super hyped. So those are honorable mentions. And I have two more honorable mentions. One is also the Dark Knight Rises trailer that starts out with the kid singing the national anthem. Man, that's a really, really good one. I really wanted to put it on my list, but it had to be defaulted based on what else I had. My other honorable mention is the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 trailer, in which Rocket and Groot are arguing over the death button. I think that is one of my favorite funny trailers of all time. Groot, he's just this little cute tree, and he's threatening to kill everybody. I thought that was just hilarious. Plus, it had the classic Guardians of the Galaxy, 70s, 80s tunes going on. So it was just a great trailer. So I'll go ahead and start with my number 5, which is actually the Dark Knight theatrical trailer. That's the one that starts out with the scene on the street where Batman is riding the bike and Heath Ledger's Joker is on the other side. And Heath Ledger starts out that trailer, his voice does. And it just gives you the chills. It's such a great trailer. I honestly, there's some of these trailers that I look back on and I'm like, I don't remember watching that back in the day, but when I watched it again, I was like, holy crap, that was an awesome trailer. And maybe that is a little bit hindsight, 2020 hindsight, it was such a good movie that I looked back on it and I was like, oh man, that's a really good trailer. But so that there you have it for number 5. Number 4 is the Avengers Endgame theatrical trailer. That was a really cool one because it went through kind of the whole MCU, starting with Iron Man, introducing all the characters and kind of doing a little shot of each of their individual movies and stuff like that. It's just a cool way to hype up a movie that was such a great ending for the MCU. Number 3, I have actually the Avengers Infinity War trailer. That one was the one that started with Samuel Jackson as Nick Fury, kind of doing there was an idea, kind of given the whole Avengers Initiative spiel, and it kind of did the same thing, honestly, as the Endgame trailer, but just the starting it off with that Nick Fury's voice overall, that was really cool. So that's my number 3. My number 2 is the Force Awakens trailer that Robbie referenced. He did a really good job of summing that up. Star Wars is just that symbol of hope, I feel like. And when you hear that classic epic Star Wars music and it pans over the desert and you see a downed Star Destroyer, I was holy crap, this is already the best trailer I've ever seen, and I've only seen 5 seconds of it. So that one, again, like Robbie said, there was so much hype going into it because yes, there was a long hiatus even between the prequels and it, but everybody was just so ready for a good Star Wars movie. But my number 1 of all time is actually the Logan trailer that has Johnny Cash's Hurt playing over it. I
forgot about that
I
one.
had tears welling up in my eyes when I was watching that one this week. I remember seeing that trailer and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to see this movie. It's such a compelling auditory like song that just so well corresponds with what is going on in the trailer, that you got this old man Logan, like beat up Wolverine, and he's like ready to call it a day. He's like hurting so bad, and that music just capped off the best trailer in my opinion. So Logan is my favorite.
I'm going to start with my honorable mentions. I'm going to give love to Inception. I remember that first trailer coming out, and just the scene of Leo DiCaprio and Ellen Page looking up in the city going over them is phenomenal. Guardians of the Galaxy 1 was phenomenal, and it literally sparked people listening to Hooked on a Feeling again. Like, that song went up crazy for iTunes. So I'm going to give that. Infinity War and Endgame, I'm going to give them both credit. Not much to say there. And this one, I had a hard time not putting this one at 5, so it's really a 6 on my list. I shouldn't be doing it, but I'm doing it. But Creed, that trailer, that first trailer when they have him running down the street. Just when he's running towards the camera, that first trailer, I was so hyped for that movie. That is literally the opposite of how the Rambo Last Blood trailer was. May that be known by everybody here. That trailer was so bad. Number 5, Robbie, you and I have a very similar list today. Man of Steel is my number 5. When they played that song, that score, it still is one of the best. If we ever do a top 5 like music list, that's for sure on mine. Probably top 3, maybe top 2 for me. Phenomenal. Man of Steel music is phenomenal. Yeah. Number 4, this is going to come from left field, but Transformers Dark of the Moon. I loved this trailer.
That was a good trailer. I'll give you that.
That trailer was so dope. When they have that scene where the building's falling and they're just like falling with the building, I was like, I'm in. Let's go. And this is when Transformers was like, oh, the sequels might actually be good. Because Sam Witwicky's still with them. We all liked them when they were with Sam Witwicky. I'm going to go.
I'm saying, I still love the Transformers movies.
All the Transformers movies are good.
20? I'm going to go. Yeah.
I can't wait for Fast and Furious 47.
Oh, my gosh. I'm Mark. I want to go to Hobbs and Shaw. I'm Mark. I can't wait to see Hobbs and Shaw. Rock my socks off.
I hope they make 17 of them.
And then, yes, Robbie, again, you nailed it again. Number 3, Star Wars The Force Awakens. This was the trailer we needed. This was not the trailer we wanted. This was the trailer we needed. Our souls needed this trailer. And I thought Disney did it masterfully. Regardless of how you feel about Star Wars, that trailer was phenomenal. We talked about it, I think, last week or a couple weeks ago. Green Lantern at number 2. The Green Lantern trailer is probably the
biggest letdown.
It's probably the most. I don't know how to say this, but like
the best trailer that was bad.
Best trailer to worst movie ever made. It's up there. Like, that trailer was so good, and I just cannot believe how bad that movie was. I've mentioned that movie 3 or 4 times now on this show, and I can't help it.
It still hurts.
It still hurts. I agree. It's that movie. That movie should have been good. And then I'll close out with this.
Is that movie a fan-fortastic?
Yes.
It is.
I said, I think on episode 2 with you and Zane, the worst, like the biggest flop of all time of a movie is probably Green Lantern to me.
What would you rate it, though? I mean, would you rate it
I'd give it a 0. I'd give it a 0.
Wow.
I don't think I'd give it a 0.
I think I would give it like a 1.5 maybe.
Yeah, because you can kind of watch it and it's like so stupid, but now you know it's so stupid that it's actually kind of somewhat enjoyable. It's like the Batman and Robin.
You haven't seen Fantastic, have you? That's why.
I've told you I haven't.
It's so bad.
Yeah, you can't watch
so
that.
Bad.
You can't even watch it again.
I won't even watch it.
That's the thing. That one's that's the worst movie.
It's much worse than Green Lantern.
Yeah, because you can't even put that on without
Green
being
Lantern's
disappointed.
So bad though, man. It's so bad. And then finally, I put Avengers 1 on here, and that first trailer after Captain America, I'll never forget how much hype I would get online. I felt like every day for 2 months just to see if that trailer dropped. And that was back when they didn't have as much news about when a trailer would drop. Nowadays, they kind of tell us like a couple months in advance. These studios will tell us. And just that shot of all 6 of them, that iconic shot that we got during the movie.
Most iconic scene possibly
Yeah,
ever.
probably the most iconic scene ever in pop culture, right? And so just for them to just show that out the gate, maybe it was a mistake, but I don't care. I'm glad they showed it.
Love it.
That trailer's so epic. And yeah, I probably would, the first or the second Avengers trailer, you could put either or for me there, but those trailers are great. And so that's my number one. Jarret, what about you, man?
First, I'm going to dive into my honorable mentions real quick. If we were to do non-movie trailers, it would have to be whoever's doing the DC comic book trailers, like Batman Last Night on Earth, Batman Dark Knight's Metal. Like, whoever's doing those is on their absolute
really
A game. They're so good. And like,
Yeah, Jarret, the Last Night on Earth trailer looked phenomenal.
And like I have not been, I've been way behind on reading, DC comic books. But the trailers got me to, dig through Dark Knight Metal. That was such a good read. So those are so good. That's my honorable mention for that. They're also Logan and Creed. We already talked about the reasons why. We don't have to go into it again. Great trailers, and they got me excited for those. My number 5, and this is different from, kind of what you guys were getting into. I will say this. I don't have a single Marvel trailer on here. So just spoiler alert. Number 5 is Spectre. And I love James Bond movies. My brother-in-law got me super into them. My dad used to watch them growing up. And I don't know. I'm one of the few people who actually like Daniel Craig as James Bond. I know that's kind of an unpopular opinion right now, but I really like the trailer for Spectre. Number 4 is Dark Knight Rises. We don't have to get into it. We already know all the reasons why. Number 3, and I don't know if anyone has said this yet, Interstellar. That was a great movie, great trailer. I think the trailer did a good job of piquing our interest and kind of giving us that big question mark of what is this movie going to be, to the point where people had to go watch it to figure it out.
What would you rate, Jarret? What would you rate Inception?
Interstellar?
I'm sorry, Interstellar. I said Inception. Sorry.
I'm a big science geek. I love physics. I got the chance to work with, I've done some stuff with NASA. Interstellar for me would probably be a 4.5 or a 5. It's not a perfect movie, but I really did enjoy it. I liked that they put so much thought into what these concepts would look like in a cinematic approach. So, Max, you accidentally spoiled my number 2. It is Inception.
Oh, dang it. I'm sorry.
It's such a good trailer and such a good movie.
Oh, the trailer's so good.
And again, for the same reason why I put Interstellar on here, Inception, those trailers blew my mind. I was like, I have no idea what this movie's about, but I have to go watch it, because if it's anything like these trailers, and that was my biggest fear, is that everything cool in that movie would be in the trailers. Luckily, it wasn't. But yeah, Inception was such a great trailer, and it really piqued my interest, and I think it delivered on that. And number 1, we talked about this. Everybody had it on their list. Had to be Force Awakens. Love Star Wars, and again, we don't need to go into it, but when Han and Chewie walked onto the Falcon and said, he said Chewie, we're home. Like,
that part is
just hits you so hard. So yeah, that had to be my number 1. I love Star Wars.
front to
Force
back.
Awakens.
That is a fantastic trailer. It's so good. Like, the whole trailer, the whole time you're just like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
They really do play into the.
It's what we
fandom.
needed.
Yeah.
We needed it. Yeah, that's a great list. Jarret, I just want to get on this topic real quick before we go to bed.
Before we all collectively lay down.
Literally.
I'm so tired. I'm sorry. It's been a long week. I've been a terrible host this episode. Your rating of Interstellar, I don't know if I agree with it. I think that movie might be my least favorite Nolan film. And I don't know, maybe we need to talk about it a little more next time, but man, dude, I could not disagree with you more on that movie. That movie was one of the worst movie theater experiences I've ever had in my life.
What I'm really surprised about is that Jarrett's number 1 trailer wasn't Thor: Dark World. Like I totally thought that was coming, but
The CGI in that trailer was amazing.
the CGI in that trailer is probably fantastic.
Thor: The Dark World, the scene when Thor hits the big rock creature with his hammer, that was pretty sweet.
Thank you.
Because that was the first time we saw that. So I'll give you
The
that.
CGI in that movie
But no,
wasn't
it's-
bad.
I mean, the CGI wasn't bad.
Jarrett's gonna take it to his grave.
I am.
Guys, the CGI wasn't bad.
It's not that it wasn't bad, Jarret. It's that it wasn't prime.
I thought it was.
And you have claimed that it's cream of the crop.
I do think it's cream of the crop, and I'll stand by that. I'll take it to my grave.
You're nuts. I think Interstellar's terrible. We'll have to talk about that
we
another time,
ripped
Jarret.
Jarrett so much. If for everyone out there listening, there is an award show on our YouTube channel called the Stan Lees that we did when we were doing the stream. And Jarrett picked Thor: The Dark World for his nomination for Best Visual Effects. And we ragged him the rest of that stream and basically the rest of our lives.
Till
to
I
this
die.
point. Yeah, till Jarrett dies, we will be making fun of him for saying that.
I want to put a copy of Thor: The Dark World on your grave.
James forced me to tattoo Thor: The Dark World has great effects on my leg.
What were you thinking when you said that, Jarrett? Can we go behind the curtain real quick and figure out what were you thinking saying that?
So
No. You know what's funny is that Jarrett wasn't even on the stream. He
I
had
wasn't.
sent
I was
me
not
his
there.
picks beforehand, and I was like, "Wait a minute, this can't be right." He put Thor: The Dark World.
Did
No,
did
no,
we
no,
know
no,
what
no,
he
that
was?
gave you-
The most disappointing Marvel movies? Is that what he thought the list was? Did you not know what the list was? We were confused.
Yeah, I love your guys' reaction watching it back. No, so I have this thing. My wife makes fun of me. My favorite thing is almost always the most recently thing I've experienced. So if you ask me what my favorite soda is, realistically, it's probably Mountain Dew, right? But if I'm drinking a Dr. Pepper, my favorite soda is Dr. Pepper. So I just watched Thor: The Dark World, which again, horrible movie. But I was like, wow, these are great effects. So
This looks beautiful.
yeah, horrible movie, great effects.
I cannot believe that you even thought that was a good idea to even articulate that out loud. I still can't believe that that's where you went to your grave. So good for you, man. Well, hey, we're gonna close the show out. Robbie, thanks for coming on, man. You were great.
Glad I can make it.
Jarrett, thanks for finally taking time to fix your computer and coming with us, man.
Yeah, for sure. I'm here.
And Isaac, your opinions weren't that bad today, okay?
Always
So
a pleasure.
good job. You did great. Good job. Hey, and you, the listener, thank you for listening. We really appreciate you listening and taking time. Wherever you are, however you're listening on episode 8, thank you for joining us. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just look up the Infinity Bros. Look for the little thumbs up with the Infinity Gauntlet. And then you can check us out on YouTube. Isaac is in charge of our streams. We do a couple streams every now and then. And if you ever want to watch us play video games we've actually been talking about, we don't just talk about them. We actually go play them. Check out our YouTube channel and follow us.
We're set up on YouTube at the Infinity Bros as well, and on Twitch. So we just streamed on Twitch last night. But all these video games that we're talking about, especially Dauntless, we actually just played Dauntless on stream last night. So you can check us out both on Twitch and on YouTube at the Infinity Bros.
If you have listener feedback, shoot us an email, infinitybrospodcast@gmail.com. We'll read it on the air. We have yet to get an email. We want to read your email. We want to hear what you think about our show. Send it to us. If you have iTunes, go on there, give us a rating. 1 through 5, we don't care. We just want to read your reviews. We want to engage you guys, the audience. So as we look at people that are listening, did you guys know that we have 25 people that are listening out in Ireland? There's some little Irish group listening to us right now.
I think so. We have a mutual friend on Twitter called Comics in the Cross, and I believe they are from Ireland. So we might have a little bit of a following there. I'm not positive on that.
That guy or gal is, just shout out to them. We want to say shout out to you in Ireland from your friends in the U.S. But hey, however you're listening to us, wherever you're listening to us, thank you again. As always, we love you guys 3000. We will see you next week on episode 9. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see ya. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Infinity Bros podcast. You can find the Infinity Bros on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the Infinity Bros. Feel free to send listener feedback via email at infinitybrospodcast@gmail.com.